Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing another makeup and stories video. I'm going to get ready and tell some embarrassing moments that have happened to my subscribers, as well as a few stories of my own. And if you missed the last video like this that we did, we talked about our spooky stories, and I'll definitely be doing more of those again as we head into Halloween. But I thought it'd be fun to switch it up and talk about our most embarrassing moments. So if you need a laugh, something to brighten up your day, or just make you not feel so bad about moments that you've had, let's go ahead and jump in and get started. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. First, I'm going to use the e.l.f. Halo Glow liquid filter. I know I used this in the last video like this that I did, but I cannot stop using it. It's such a good primer because it just adds like that tiny little bit of glow, but it doesn't accentuate the texture on my face, which I really love. So I'm just gonna dot it all over and read the first story. So this one says, many years ago, I was pregnant and having terrible morning sickness. I feel so bad for anybody that has morning sickness. I was so lucky I didn't have any, but I know so many people who really suffered with that. She says, just about anything would set me off. I was visiting my in-laws and they had a bunch of family over, my husband's aunts, uncles, and cousins. I was sitting on the couch between my father-in-law and my husband, and it was a large sectional with a coffee table in front of it. Every seat on the couch was full, so if I needed to get out, I would have had to climb over a lot of legs, and it would have taken a while. I hate being stuck in like that. If I'm in church or anywhere where there's like a row, I always like to sit on the end because I don't want to have to climb over people, like if I need to get out. So she said my father-in-law, who had a crude sense of humor, farted loudly and started waving his hands around saying, "It's a bad one, guys." And boy, was it ever. I instantly got so nauseated, I didn't think I would even make it to the bathroom by the time I climbed over everybody. So I picked up a big bowl that was on the coffee table that still had a few potato chips in it and threw up right there in front of everyone. My husband's family still jokes that his father's gas is so bad it makes people throw up. Oh my God, that was from Emily. The next one says, hey Jen, I love this new type of video you're doing, so I thought I would share a funny, embarrassing story of mine. One time I was on the subway during rush hour, and of course it was really busy. I looked behind me and there was a guy with a white stick, the kind that visually impaired people use. I was lucky enough to get a seat, but I saw that this guy didn't have a seat. So thinking I'm doing a good thing, I get up and kind of guide the guy into my seat. He sits down and gives me an odd look. Then I look closer at the white stick and it has a price sticker on it, and it is in fact a curtain rod. He must have thought I was absolutely crazy for guiding him into his seat. And that was Jill from Scotland. Oh my gosh, I'm surprised he didn't say anything like, what are you doing? For foundation, I'm going to be using the Believe Beauty foundation in the shade Cashmere. I love this stuff so much. It's $5. It's such an amazing foundation. And by the way, the e.l.f. was in the shade Fair. And I'm going to apply with the BK Beauty foundation brush, which is my favorite. So the next one says, years ago, I had a manager that was the worst. I ended up sending an email to my colleague and was really complaining about her. I said the worst. I wonder what exactly this email said. But unfortunately, this email was sent to the manager instead of my colleague. Oops, that was not really smart. Later on, she contacted me about the email that she wanted to have a talk with me. But I'm still working at that place. The manager actually left. Greetings from the Netherlands. She didn't leave her name. Gosh, I can't even imagine. We've all had those really horrible bosses, but to actually like send the email, that's crazy. The next one says, I was at work using the bathroom. I had to go number 2. When I was done, I went to open the door and my coworker was right there. I don't know how long she had been there or why, but boy did she get wrinkles in her nostrils. She grabbed the air freshener spray, ha ha ha. And that one was from D. The next one says, I was cleaning out my car and listening to the radio in the driveway when a New Kids on the Block song came on. I hadn't heard it in years, so I started belting it out and dancing around. Next thing I know, I turn around and the UPS man is standing there at the end of the driveway with an amused look on his face holding a package. I stopped in my tracks with a shocked look on my face, and he said, oh, don't stop on my account. I was mortified. That is too funny. Something similar actually happened to me. I wasn't dancing around, but you know, I get a lot of packages delivered here, like for YouTube. The UPS and FedEx guys are always here. And I was in my car and it was a nice day. I had the window down and there was a song on the radio I liked. I forget what it was, but I was singing it. And the guy came up like to the window and was like, here you go. He didn't comment on it, but I'm definitely sure he heard me. Next one says, okay, so So once I was at a business dinner with my boss and coworkers. We were at a tech conference in Vegas. My husband used to go to those all the time before COVID. And we went to a really expensive steakhouse. I was pregnant and ordered a ginger ale to drink, and I had just taken a sip when someone at the table said something that struck me really funny, and I couldn't stop myself from laughing. My drink shot out of my nostrils and went all over my boss's plate, and some splattered on his dress shirt and tie. I looked at him horrified as he stared at his steak and mashed potatoes that were coated in fizzy liquid that had just come out of my nose. He was a little pissed at me at first, but he got over it, and everyone still teases me about it to this day, and it was 7 or 8 years ago. Oh man, that is a really good one. All right, so next for blush, I'm gonna be using this NYX Wonder Stick blush, and one of you guys recommended this to me. I haven't tried it yet, so I'm excited. I have it in the shade Light Peach and Baby Pink. I think I'm gonna use the peach side today just because I'm wearing a peach top, but the Baby Pink one looks so pretty. It looks like the bubble blush from Persona. It's like a cool tone pink, so I definitely want to use that at some point, but I feel like the peach one will just work a little bit better today. And I'm gonna blend it in with the Profusion Buffing Foundation brush. I feel like this is too small of a brush for foundation, but it's so perfect for blending in cream blushes. So that's always what I use. All right, so we just put a little on and start blending. This is really pigmented. A little bit goes a really long way. So the next one says, there's this cute guy who lives in my building, and sometimes on the way to work in the morning, I see him in the elevator. We usually say hi and nod to each other, but I've never gotten up the nerve to say anything more to him. One morning I was having a really good hair day, wearing my favorite dress and feeling confident, and I was thrilled to see him alone in the elevator when the doors opened. Then I turned my back to him and pressed the button to make the doors close, and I heard him say, "So, what are you doing tonight after work? Do you want to maybe go out?" And I turned back around to face him and was like, "Sure, that would be great." And I was trying not to look too eager. Then he kind of looked at me startled and pointed to his earbuds, and I realized he had Bluetooth and he was on the phone. Oh my God. I could have died, and for a while I took the stairs because I didn't want to see him in the elevator anymore. Oh, that one kind of makes me sad, especially because like I know what it feels like to have a crush on somebody and then not have it reciprocated. It's the worst, but then to add kind of like the embarrassing moment on top of it, aw, I feel so bad. The next one says, I was at Macy's one day looking for a new coat, and I saw this really cute plaid coat sitting on top of the rack that someone had just flung there instead of hanging it back up. I checked for a price, but it didn't seem to have a tag, so I figured I would just ask at the register if I decided to buy it. I think I know where this is going. I tried it on and it fit perfectly. I started to walk over to the mirror to see what it looked like on, and another girl was coming towards me and said, "Why are you wearing my coat?" She had taken hers off to try on another coat and had also walked over to the mirror to see what it looked like. It was so awkward. Oh man, could you imagine just somebody putting on your coat? That is too funny. By the way, this blush stick is so pretty. I'm just gonna put another layer, but I love it. It has the perfect powdery dry down. It's not like moving my foundation, and it's pigmented, so I feel like it's really gonna last a long time. And I love the color too, so pretty. Okay, so the next one says, I was out shopping, but I really had to use the bathroom. So I decided to head for home and walked out into the parking lot to find my car. When I got there, I tried the driver's side door, but it wouldn't open. I have the keyless entry where you just walk up to the car, you don't have to take the key out, and it unlocks. But sometimes if the key is buried deep in my purse, it doesn't work. That happens to me all the time, and it's weird because I always keep the key in my purse, but for whatever reason, sometimes it just can't find the car, or the car can't find the key, or whatever. So anyway, she said that's what happened, and I started grabbing the handle and trying it over and over, and I was getting so frustrated because I really had to pee. So I smacked the window with my open hand in disgust and threw my purse on the hood of the car to dig for the key so I could unlock it by just pressing the button. A voice behind me said, "What the hell are you doing?" I turned around to see a man standing behind me with a concerned look on his face. I said, "I can't get into my car and I really have to pee and I'm just so frustrated." And he was like, "Well, this is my car." Suddenly, I looked a little bit closer at the interior and realized it looked a little different than mine. With my face burning, I apologized profusely, removed my bag from his hood, hoping there were no scratches, and spotted my own car one row over. I've done that before, not to that extent, but I have walked up to the wrong car in the parking lot and tried to open it and be like, "Why is this not opening?" And then I'm like, "Oh, that's my car. But nobody's ever caught me doing it. That is so funny. Next, I'm gonna add a little highlight. This is the Flower Beauty Day Glow Highlighting Glaze, and this is in the shade Day Glow. This is the most beautiful highlight because it just adds a little hint of a glow. It's not anything super sparkly, and it's a cream formula as well. So I just feel like it looks really natural. Okay, so the next one says, I work as a bank teller. I was a bank teller for many years, and a client of mine who was a very attractive, wealthy man that I often flirted with came up to my line. After making small talk and chatting for a few moments, he turned to walk away and he forgot his phone that he left sitting on the counter. So I grabbed it and ran around the teller line calling his name to give it back to him. As I went to hand it to him, my hands were shaking a little bit and I dropped it on the floor. I quickly said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And as I bent over to pick it up, I farted loudly. The lobby was filled with people. A few of them looked over at what was going on and I was so mortified. On top of that, the guy's phone screen was cracked. Oh my God. I offered to pay for it, but he just mumbled, "It's okay," and left quickly. I never saw him again. That's like a cascade of different embarrassing things happening all at once. My gosh. That's another one. It's like I can't even laugh. I just feel so bad. All right, and then for my eyes, I'm not gonna mess with a palette today. I'm just gonna use the ColourPop Super Shock Shadow in the shade 2014, which is like a beautiful kind of rose gold color. It's so pretty. Anyway, the next one says, I was at a crowded bar late one night with my boyfriend. I left him to go to the restroom, and when I came back to the main room with the bar, I spotted him in a slightly different spot than where we were standing before, but he did say he was gonna go get another drink while I was gone. I could see his blue shirt and the back of his brown hair peeking out from the crowd since he's really tall. Well, I walked right up behind him, pinched his butt and said, "Hey babe, did you get me a drink?" And this guy, who was definitely not my boyfriend, turns around, sized me up quickly and said, "No, but I'll go get you one," in this really flirty voice. My face instantly turned super hot and I glanced over to see my boyfriend coming towards us, probably wondering who I was talking to. I was mortified. I think what really makes that story is that she pinched his butt. Like, I've gone up to somebody by accident before that I thought was someone else. I think most of us have probably done that, but she got really friendly with him too, that's hysterical. The next one says, when I was in 8th grade, I had a really hard time with math, mainly multiplication. My math teacher, who was a great lady, asked me 9 times 6 very casually in front of the class. My entire 8th grade class was 10 people, small private school, and they all looked at me while I used a trick with my hands to try to get the answer. I got it, but after 5 whole minutes of silence. I went to the bathroom after and cried. I ended up not finishing 8th grade because of horrible bullying there from one kid. That kid is now a drug dealer. Aw, as somebody who was also bullied, I definitely can feel your pain with that one. I had a lot of embarrassing moments in school, and I'll talk about one in particular that was really bad. But when you're that age, especially in 8th grade, it's like getting embarrassed over anything is just so hard to deal with, and you feel like your life is just over when those things happen. So I can really imagine how you must have felt. And funny, because you say the kid is now a drug dealer. I feel like a lot of the bullies that picked on me in school also, like, their life is not good. That seems to happen a lot to bullies. They tend to get theirs in the end. This next one says, Dr. Corbett, an accomplished and well-respected virologist who helped develop the Moderna vaccine, also featured on the cover of Time magazine, came to speak at our university, and she happened to walk down the hallway where my office is. She was passing me, and as I was walking into my office, I said, "Hey, Dr. Colbert, I'm excited for your lecture later." And she responded, "Yay." I didn't realize until I looked at the pamphlet at the lecture that I completely butchered her last name. She said Colbert instead of Corbett, straight to her face. I felt horrible and also very stupid. And that was from Lauren. Aw, that's probably happened to her before. I'm sure a lot of like more famous people tend to have that happen pretty regularly since people are saying their names a lot. So next for mascara, I'm gonna be using the new Tartelette tubing mascara. Even though this isn't really a tubing mascara in the sense that it doesn't remove like one, I still really like it. I feel like it gives my lashes so much length and volume, and it lasts all day and it doesn't smudge. So the next one says, I had applied for a job in a neighboring state where my cousin lived, and I was waiting to hear back from them. A few weeks went by and I figured they weren't going to call. One day around lunchtime, I got a call from a number with the area code of the neighboring state. I assumed it was my cousin because she sometimes called from her work phone to chat at lunchtime. I picked up the phone and I said, "Yo, what up, biatch?" which is the way we normally greet each other, and it was the human resources lady at the place I wanted to work. Funny enough, she actually hired me. That is amazing. I wonder if she just like didn't really catch what you said in the beginning. The next one says, I still blush thinking about this. I work for a state government, but I don't work downtown with the majority of the state employees. I had to go downtown for training, and on a break, I was going to use the restroom. The doors were designed to blend in with the wall, so I was trying to figure out how to open the door, and a man walking by told me to push, and it worked. When I turned around to thank him, it was the governor. What a way to meet him. That is so funny. Now you'll always have a story about how you met the governor for the first time. All right, so the next story says, I was at a new coffee shop I had never been to before, waiting for my coffee and standing by the counter when I saw a plate with chunks of blueberry muffin on it. Thinking they were samples, I grabbed one and popped it into my mouth. The girl behind the counter gave me a strange look and then kept on getting my order ready. I stood there a few more minutes, and then another customer walked up next to me and put their dirty plate next to the one that I thought had the muffin samples on it. That's when I noticed the sign hanging above that said, "Return plates here." I was mortified that I ate a piece of someone's half-eaten muffin. You know, if it was like all broken up into pieces, I wonder if it was like a little kid's too. Oh my gosh. That is hysterical. For lips, I'm going to use the Tarte Maracuja Juicy Lip Cream, and this is in the shade Mauve, but it's actually more of like a peachy color. So the next story says, when I worked for a cell phone company at their call center, I prided myself on injecting a bit of humor into the calls. It lightened the mood, built rapport, and so on. Well, there was one joke that really didn't hit right. This woman called and she was asking why her bill was so high. She had her baby with her and the baby started crying, and I had tried to lighten the mood, as I often do, with a joke. "Oh, why is your baby crying? Did she see the phone bill?" Yeah, not funny. I felt bad immediately, and as if on cue, the baby stopped crying and the woman was silent on the other line. After a few seconds of an awkward pause, I just immediately brought to her attention any adjustments she was eligible for and prayed to God the call would not be audited. Thankfully, it wasn't. Know your audience and don't put your foot in your mouth like me, folks. I don't know, I would have laughed at that. Like, if that were me and the baby was crying, I don't know. But as somebody who worked in customer service for many years, I know like a lot of people just don't have a sense of humor about these things at all. All right, so since I'm done with my makeup, I'll tell you guys my story really quick. I actually have two. One is from when I was in 6th grade and one's from when I was a little older. So the first one was from when I was in 6th grade, and I had just gotten my period like for the first time a couple of months before, but I wasn't really great at figuring out like when I had to change the pads and things like that. So I'm sitting in math class. It was after lunchtime already, and we got up to switch classes, and I was walking through the halls with my best friend, and my entire grade was in the hallway, and this really cute guy that I had a crush on was behind me walking, and all of a sudden he yelled out my name and he's like, "Did you poop your pants?" And I was like, "What?" And I thought he was joking at first, and then my best friend like kind of looked back at my pants and she was like, "Oh my God," and like dragged me into the bathroom, which was across the hall. And she's like, "I think you leaked." And I was like, "Oh my God." And I like ran into the stall and I saw what had happened, and she's like, "Can I get you a pad?" And I'm like, "But it's through my jeans. Like, what am I gonna do?" And she was like, "I don't know, you'll have to go to the nurse." And she offered to stay with me, but I was like, "There's nothing you could do, just go," like the bell's ringing. And then I just sat in the bathroom and I was like crying, and I waited until I didn't hear anybody in the hallway anymore. And then I went downstairs to the nurse's office, but she had to call my mom and bring like a change of clothes for me. I wanted to die. Like, I did not want to go back to school. I was crying that night, like, please do not make me go back. I was just horrified because I could hear everybody laughing when this kid said that, and they were all staring, and it was just like the most horrible, horrible thing. And like I said, when you're 12 years old, things get to you even more, you know, like I can laugh so many more things off now than I could back then. Back then it was the worst. And then the other thing that happened was when I was 17 or 18, I was like a senior in high school, and I was working at Burger King, and I had one of those Dodge Neon cars, and it was very bare bones. Like it basically didn't even have keyless entry. You had to like stick the key in the lock to open it. So I was out on my break, and I would sometimes just go and sit in my car and listen to music while I was waiting for my break to be over. And when it was time to go back, I got out of the car, but I forgot to turn it off. So I had left it running, and I got out of the car, I pressed the lock button down, and I went to shut the door, and then I realized like the keys were in it and it was on. So I quickly stuck my hand back into the car, and the door closed on one of my fingers, and it was stuck in there. Luckily, it was just the tip of my finger before the joint, so it didn't break my finger, but I could not get it out for anything. So the car's locked, keys are in it, it's running, and I'm just stuck there. And I was like praying that somebody would come out and find me. So eventually one of my coworkers came out, and I'm yelling at him like, please go in, call somebody, like my finger's stuck. And basically a few people came out and tried to like pull the door open so I could get my finger out, and it wouldn't happen. So they had to call the fire department, and they came, and everybody was like crowded around watching them get my finger out of this car door. It was humiliating, and people made fun of me at work about that for so long. So anyway, guys, this was so much fun. If I didn't get to your story, I'm sorry. I got so many responses, but we'll have to do this again. I'll save all of the different replies that I got, and I'd love to hear from you guys. What else would you like to see me do for makeup and story time? I'll definitely get back to doing the scary stories, especially heading into the Halloween season, but I'm sure there are other fun things we could do as well. So let me know your thoughts on that, and thank you guys so much for hanging out with me as always. I really appreciate it so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care, guys. Bye.